what we're talking about today. We're talking about the iCoTech journey, aren't we?
The iCoTech journey, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those topics that's been on my mind actually since I joined the company. I know we spoke about kind of iCoTech, where it began and where it started, obviously, when you were interviewing and when you were hiring me. And now that I've kind of got my feet under the desk a little bit and kind of got a bit more comfortable with what we do here at iCoTech and kind of what the future looks like for iCoTech as we're growing, I'm really keen to just find out more about the origin story, I guess you could call it, about why iCoTech became a business for you, and what really started it. What was that light bulb moment, if there was one, that drove iCoTech to its beginnings?
Yeah, I think for at the outset it was really about like a plan. So when I was 18, I wrote a life plan. It's quite a sad thing to do as an 18-year-old, right? But I got out Excel and I wrote kind of 4 lines of what I wanted, and it's actually titled Life Plan. I've got it on my laptop now, and it's stored on my iDrive, my iCloud drive, and yeah, it had like 4 objectives on it, and one of them was to be a director of a company. That was one of the very first objectives that I put on my life plan. That Excel document has lived with me for the last 12 years, and it's grown now to 46 items on my life plan, with I think 13, maybe 14 have been completed, the rest outstanding, and a couple are late and a couple are early. But yeah, I think so. That's really where the origin started. Where I was 18, and I thought, look, I really would love to be the creator of a sustainable and successful organization that gives back and can allow people like yourselves to join the business, grow and develop and provide for your family, and also the rest of us provide for our families and our communities as well. So that was the vision, and I always wanted. That was when I was 18, just like director of a company, but that developed over time to be really to create an entity, an organization that was self-sufficient, that could really outgrow me. That's the idea, is that iCoTech will be here past my lifetime, and hopefully remain in my ownership. That's kind of really where it developed from. I guess business has always interested me. Kind of look at lots of other businesses around the world, I guess, successful ones, the Teslas, the Amazons, the Googles, but also the small ones as well, like the Dave Edwards Auto Spares, which is a guy who lives next door to my parents, who runs an auto spares company, who's managed to sell it, and retire at a reasonable age and enjoy his life. Those people inspire me just as much as the Elon Musks of the world, in some way or another. But yeah, so that's where it started. Life plan, wrote it down. If you write something down, you're more likely to achieve it, in my view. And then it developed over the kind of following 10 years. But I always knew that there had to be like a route to get into running a business. I was very unlikely to leave my my work at 21 and start selling to CIOs or IT directors. I just needed credibility, and I recognized that, and I knew I was good at project, program, governance, control, kind of organizational leadership kind of stuff. I kind of knew my area of expertise, and very much a generalist in technology. Like, I kind of understand technology and get it, but as Chris will say, and and the tech guys here, I'm definitely not a techie guy. I probably cause more mayhem when I get involved now, don't I, than any good.
I wouldn't say probably. I think definitely, but that's a really interesting point actually that you were talking about there, regarding kind of getting that work experience, that life experience, that credibility behind you. I guess from my perspective, was there a moment where you thought, you know what, actually I feel like I'm ready now to go and do this? And what was that time period between that light coming on in your head where you said, right, I'm ready to go off and do this now on my own, and actually going and pulling that trigger? Was there, what was that kind of journey like? Because I can imagine, knowing what I know about you now, that it probably wasn't a huge length of time between that. But actually, yeah, what did that journey look like? How did that feel from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, anybody who can go on Company's House is a really interesting question, actually. Probably quite a complex answer, but 2012, I thought, look, I was going through a period in my life where, I was struggling to see that the objectives in my plan were going to be achieved. I was struggling to see a route forward, and I thought, look, I can't leave my full-time employment, because, I'd done what everybody does in full-time employment and lives to their means, and I bought the house. I'd house in Cardiff. I got a company car, and I couldn't really get out of it. And I just thought, look, I'm going to dabble with stuff on the side outside of my work hours. Totally dedicated on the weekends. I'm going to start iCoTech, and that's really where it formed. If you look back on Company's House, iCoTech was actually registered in 2012 as an entity. It failed. It failed flat out miserably. I lost a bit of money on it as well. I partnered with a guy who just tried to kind of dabble with some kind of recruitment stuff, really, and because that's what I wanted to go and do it. I'd made the decision that I wanted to go and to run a business. And it fell flat on its face, because obviously, in order to run a business, especially a startup, you need to be dedicated and have all your time invested in it, right? And then it took 5 years then for me to kind of gain that confidence again, I guess, or maybe 4 years to gain that confidence that, look, that you can really do this, and to get the emotional investment needed in order to do it, but also to find that segue into running a business as well, because I'd learned the hard way that I had you need to put all your eggs in the basket in order for it to work, right? But then also a couple of things happened in my corporate career where I was at risk of redundancy. The first time it happened to me, it actually was a leapfrog. I got my dream job. I was really lucky and thankful to the people that put faith in me to go and get that job. I was a head of a department for a major FTSE 100 company, at 26. And I was on a great salary package, and I had a company car. And you know what I did? I did the same mistake again. I went and bought a bigger freaking house, and a better car, bought my dream car, and then I thought, well, I can't leave this now. What am I going to do? I can't leave this. And that was my biggest challenge. And I thought, look, the best way of doing this is to segue out, is to find that route out of kind of the full-time work. Somebody said to me before, actually later on in life in Company's House, a great leader said to me in Company's House, said to me that it's like golden handcuffs. You've got the golden handcuffs on. You cannot leave because you're basically too comfortable to leave, right? You've got too much good here to look outside. And it's a really good explanation of that. But what I did was I thought, right, contracting is my segue in, because if I can get out of full-time work, go contracting, save some money behind me, have that feel of being self-employed in a contractor consultant role, that risk of having a 2-week notice rather than a 3-month notice, I could kind of segue, and that's exactly what I did. I kind of started looking around, and the bosses in Babcock knew that I was looking to do this. They knew I had entrepreneurial aspirations, because I was always honest with the people who I work with, that this is what I wanted to do and this is where I wanted to go. And things just happened. Things just really fell into place. I got phoned about a job in Company's House by a recruiting agent in Cardiff. It was a day rate, and it was funny because I got phoned about that job. On that week, I had a conversation with my boss in the pub, basically saying, look, there might be another restructure coming, another redundancy, but might be an opportunity to go and get another job for you, a better job for you again in group or whatever, and I just said to him, look, I've got this opportunity coming, can you help me go? And I was on a 3-month notice, right, in Babcock, and the guys there, the leaders, my managers, really, they let me go in 3 weeks, which was awesome, super helpful. Like, genuinely, if they hadn't let me do that, I wouldn't have got the job in Company's House, the consultant job in Company's House, and therefore that wouldn't have segued into iCoTech, really restarted again in the second generation. And funny enough, I took this leap of faith, and I was really kind of nervous about this. I joined Company's House. I think it was actually the one before last day of Babcock. I was in London saying goodbye to people, and I got a phone call from my partner, crying on the phone. Oh, I got some news, and she was pregnant with our first child. So Christ, talk about a whirlwind, holy shit, decided to make this massive move and segue into this new journey of my life, and now we've got a child coming in 9 months, So, oh God, that was risky, but again, one of the things I did in Company's House was just focus, did the hard work, and hey, it worked out for the better, really. So yeah,
that's really cool. I think one of the things that kind of springs to mind there when you were saying about the first iteration of iCoTech, and kind of what changed there. I think obviously I know you, especially from your PMO background, that you will have done a lessons learned log. No doubt that is in some appendix within your life plan. You have a lesson learned section. it'd be great to kind of, I guess, get a feel for what that looks like. What were some of the most painful things, but actually, what were some of the best takeaways from those lessons that you feel you learned? Were they sure, especially financially, there must have been some negatives, but I guess really, yeah, what were the positives that you thought, actually, yeah, do you know what, this is a lesson that I can take forward now into future business ventures?
I think some of the lessons I've learned is and some of the things that I've learned along the road from business and corporate life is to hire people that are better than you. I think if you're sitting there in a room with an individual and you think they can really accelerate, they could be fantastic at this feature or this skill set better than I could do. They could do that job better than I could do if I apply myself. Freaking hire them. Just get them on board, because you need people around you that are brilliant. Brilliant people equals brilliant results, right? And that's something that I learned very quickly was don't have your ego on side. Don't think that you're the best as a leader. Really hire and create a team that people can develop and grow and be the best version of themselves and perform at the best level, because ultimately, whether you're in a business or a department or a small team, you're collectively going to work really well together by doing that. And that's what I've realized in project management, through to managing a team, through to running a business. It's the same ethos when we hire people now. We're trying to identify people that can really stitch into the team together, but also focus, dedication. Not doing what I did the first time, which is trying to do it on the side. Trying to do it in a half-assed attempt. Just don't do that. I think if you're going to do something, if you're going to deliver a project, deliver an outcome, deliver an objective, then really focus on how do you get from A to B, how do you get to that outcome, and what are the key things you need to do along the journey in order to get there. And focus. Many projects and programs that I've seen failed have just not had a really clear vision of what they're trying to achieve. And sometimes we fail, sometimes at micro level in iCoTech, when we try and do something, like we've got projects and activities we've done with the team where we've probably done too much, haven't we? We've done too much, not really been clear on the outcome, and they've been painful, right? And we've learned from those and got those scars.
Yeah,
but
sure.
So it's continually doing that. And I think then the third thing for me is really always be self-aware, like be super self-aware. I go home most nights and I think about what I did that day and think, oh, did I do that right? Or maybe I didn't do that right. Or I can't say it on this video, but we have a kind of saying between me and you where I'm like, alert, this is the bad side in me coming out now. I know this isn't right to be operating and thinking this way, but this is how I'm thinking. But always reflecting on that and going, look, maybe and working with a team to say, look, this is how I meant these things to happen. It's just being self-aware, I think, is really important as well. So yeah, those are my kind of top 3 things on my list that I use in underpinning all that is actually just make sure you keep looking back, at the right times to review and reflect and improve. And how we run here in iCoTech is all about always improving. You can, if somebody says you can't do it, it's like, well, why?
Why not? Yeah.
As long as it's not a legal question, obviously, as long as it's not a,
Yeah.
but if it's a technical reason, I can't do this. Why? Don't tell me you can't do that. Tell me how you're going to do it, and how we get to that point, how we get to that outcome. And even if it's, sometimes I know Chris and the team get annoyed at me because I end up Googling stuff and saying, you can do it here. You can take this bit and take that bit and put it together, and Bob's your uncle. You got an outcome, But that gets at some of the things. Yeah, that's some of my learnings anyway.
What's I guess from your perspective, in terms of what you thought iCoTech would be at this stage in its life versus where it's at now, along that kind of journey of, where did it all begin, where we're at currently, what are your thoughts, I guess, in terms of, is it following the path you expected it to follow, or is it going in a different direction towards the same outcome that you'd kind of planned?
It's definitely quicker than I thought. I remember dreaming about coming to an office one day for work. I remember vividly dreaming about driving a car, like my car's obviously, into work, that was something that I had helped create and been, a part of that creative process. And there's something beautiful about that. And in my dream, and sometimes I pinch myself now that, Joel, you dreamt of this years ago and you're actually doing it. you're coming into work not with a Babcock lanyard on, or a Lloyds Bank lanyard, or whatever else company that you work for. This is a company that really is about it is something that we've created together, and I've been in kind of a catalyst for. So yeah, it's definitely accelerated. I thought in year 2 I would be remortgaging my house, probably living in a 1-bed flat with 3 kids and whatever, all this kind of stuff going on, like, luckily, thank God, everybody else has been a part of the journey and trusted us and really helped and supported us. We're not in that situation. We're far from it. So I guess now it's like the snowball has kind of, it's not really teetered over the edge of the mountain. It's not on the downhill run, it's not like that at all. But the snowball is bigger than ever, and there's more of us pushing it up the hill, So it's a different challenge now, At the outset, really, what I thought would be is me and Anthony and maybe Darren, a couple of techies, and doing some tech stuff. I didn't think that in month 18 of business that I'd be really focused on paying invoices or renewing my legal insurance today, that business insurance, going through that process, all those things. So yeah, absolutely fantastic that it's kind of gone quicker than we'd expected, but with that comes its challenges as well. As you know, we're almost having to catch up, aren't we, with ourselves, and the simple things sometimes aren't always in place because we have to focus and prioritize on focusing on revenue, focusing on delivery, and doing the right things at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that actually I find really fascinating about the journey of iCoTech is actually, what are we doing now versus what we thought we'd be doing, and there's just so much more, and I think back to, actually, I was going to ask you why do iCoTech kind of do what we do, but I think actually one of the more important questions on my mind is why, when we sit together and we look at, we do competition analysis and we look at kind of who else is operating in the same kind of space in the same kind of way that we are, we often come up with a very, very short list of companies, whereas in almost any other sector, especially in technology, there's usually 50 other people doing the same thing in the same way, offering a very, very similar service or product. And I guess really what I want to know is, from your opinion, why do you think there's not many people really doing what we do, and certainly very, very few doing it in a even remotely similar way?
Yeah, I think in the way we do it, it's just that my project background, I guess our commercial model is built on the premise that I used to be the person buying these services, or at least not me personally, obviously, but managing the projects, 200 projects, 80 projects, 50 projects in Companies House, that are actually procuring these technology services, not externally all the time, but building them internally as well, and then delivering them. So I've got that pain of actually being on a customer side inside a government organization or a public sector organization, trying to eke the best technology from industry and deploy it into my organization, and not just be done when the technology is delivered, actually be done when the people are using it. The great analogy we've always used in iCoTech is that we could build the Ferrari of technology, but can you drive it around the track, right? And most of our customers cannot drive the Ferrari around the track because they're not Lewis Hamilton. They're not a performance driver. So actually our job is to build the Ferrari or the Porsche or maybe the BMW, depending in the analogy you're using. Depending on what you need, because you might not always need a Ferrari. But then also teaching our staff to actually be able to drive that vehicle, make use of the investment, and deploy it, and really only validate success when 6 months time, 12 months time, the system is still being used, it's still being iterated on, and it's still adding value to organizations. So that's the way we deliver, and that's why we're here, because of my background, I guess, of delivering projects and programs, and the annoyance of IT always being branded with this kind of negativity. IT government projects are overspent, they're always late. So I've got a drive to change that mentality, and I think if you could do it properly with the right partners, you can do successful IT projects. But how we got to where we are doing what we're doing technically is just luck. It's just sheer luck. It's just we were in a space that was more around project program tooling, project online, project, kind of Microsoft Project SharePoint. That's where our capability was maybe 12 months ago, and it was a very, very new set of capabilities. But where we are now is actually being directed more so by Microsoft. To be honest, it's the fact that the Microsoft tool that we were proficient in 12 months ago has changed, and it's jumped ship to a different technology landscape and a very new technology landscape. And the Power Platform is really going to change businesses, change economies, change communities, just like SharePoint did and Access did 20 years ago. It really is. And the reason that we are kind of unique in what we do is partly because the capability to do the Power Platform, Power BI, virtual agents, Power Automate, robotic process automation, AI, Internet of Things, predictive analytics, that technology is still very new. And there's a gap in capability to be able to go and do that. So what we're doing here at iCoTech is really looking to taking the experts that we've got and we can find in industry, continue to train them up, but also bring in graduates, college capability, bring them up out of school into our business so that we can facilitate them, going to grow and use the technology and learn and deploy it into industry. And as I've always said to you, mate, is that if somebody leaves iCoTech in 3 years' time on double the money with double the skill sets, I could go on to a bigger and better career. Bloody fantastic, awesome. Love that. Love nothing more than that, to be honest. That's why we're here, really, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think my biggest question then, really surrounding like the iCoTech journey, is would you do it again? Going back, knowing what you know now, seeing where we are now, seeing where we're going, the team, the people, the premises, all the rest of iCoTech as a whole, would you go back to the start and start again if you had to?
No, because I think it would probably fallen flat on his face, and I think the luck we've got is brilliant, and it is about luck and being at the right place at the right time. I sometimes ask myself, should I have done it sooner? Should I have done it sooner? But again, if I hadn't done it the first time and got those scars of failure, then I wouldn't really appreciate the success. And without failure, you don't appreciate success, do you? So sometimes you've got to fail to get back up on the horse and get cracking again. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to take my chances again. If somebody said to me, go back and start again to see if you can do a better job, I definitely wouldn't do that. I think we have not overachieved, because we've achieved what we've achieved through good hard practice and good work and good outcomes and good processes and people. But we're very lucky to be where we are. Very lucky to have left Companies House, purposefully, and that was the real moment that I said, look, I'm not going to stay in contracting or permanent work. I'm now going to segue out. I had probably 3 months worth of money left in my bank that I'd accumulated through Companies House, so I had 3 months of money left, and I kind of gave myself 3 months, and then I think it was week 2. Yeah, week 2, I got a phone call from Bays saying, we've seen what you've done in Companies House. We want it in Bays, because I'd gone through a proposal process. And I remember like that, it was the second week of being at home, no office, at home, and I was running around the house, just shouting, like, just elation, just like relief, that I'd had this second customer come through, and that the model was working. So yeah, I guess I would definitely wouldn't do it again. Like, as in, I wouldn't take my chances and roll the dice again and hope for a better outcome at all. But maybe my only thought is balancing that. What if I had quit my job at 23, 22, and had a little bit of experience and gone into market? What would I have? What would it be now? Because it would have been 6, 7 years old as opposed to 2 years old ish. Yeah.
Fair. Well, that's a really good take on it. I think that for me has really answered kind of where did iCoTech start in the beginning of the journey. I think yeah, if there's anything else that you can kind of share, anything I haven't really asked about, or anything that is on your mind about where did iCoTech start, anything, I'm not inside your head, thank God.
Don't do that. Don't do that. No, I just think that if people can follow our journey, and that's the reason that I'd like to kind of share this journey, then other individuals should be doing it. And if you think you've got a good, pragmatic, sensible approach, just common sense is all it needs, you know. So many people I talk to, younger people that you know, younger than me, that are saying, you know, I can't, you know, what if and what if and what if, you know. As long as there's a pragmatic plan, you know, maybe don't put all your eggs in the basket if you can't do that, like I couldn't, you know, but appreciate that it's, you know, not likely to succeed. You know, test the market, get out there, just do it, you know, get on and do it. And you know, I've always got this thing as well. Sometimes it doesn't always work for us, and it's a really bad analogy. And don't ever follow this if you're a young kid learning to swim. But I always think that on my life plan, one of my kind of sayings is that 9 times out of 10, if you jump in the deep end, you'll probably learn to swim. But it's a really bad thing, because you definitely won't if you can't swim. Do not jump in the deep end. But in theory, in my mind, it's my kind of I don't know, drive to just get on and do it. You know, as long as you've thought about it and it's pragmatic and it's sensible and it's half makes sense-ish, you know, go on and do it, you know. And then if you fail, learn from the failure, try again. That's in summary.
Cool. I think one thing that's just sprung to mind kind of while you were saying that actually is that what do you think is more important? Is it about the vision, or is it about the execution? So the reason that I ask is, like, you look at a lot of big companies, right, and they're very well structured, very well planned, organized. They've got everything, you know, for the next 5 years planned out. And then there's loads of businesses that are really, really booming because they're just very quick to react, and they're just born from, you know, a natural passion. I'm going to use a YouTube kind of influencer as an example. There's so many people that have built up like hobbies that have become sort of side businesses, which have become, you know, 50-50 split between their main job and that's their business, that have now become their full-time job. Do you think it's more about the execution of it or the vision that drives it, just from a business perspective?
It's definitely the vision. You know, another thing I've got on my life plan is that every reality starts off as a dream. You know, so every piece of reality that I've got in my life right now, apart from maybe a couple of things, you know, that are more negative, you know, I can't say my little one was planned, but, you know, you've got to react to it, right? Bless her. But best thing that's ever happened now, you know. But, you know, yeah, you dream, right? You've got a dream. The dream becomes the vision, and then it's about the execution, right? And it's that whole cycle. It's that whole journey. I found you to execute a growth strategy. You know, I'm not going to do it. You know, I've got to focus on the vision, right? I found Chris to, you know, we found Chris as a business to go and execute on delivery, right, and go and be really good at executing on delivery. And Mark, you know, Mark Goldstrong's got a really good analogy. I overheard him talking about me to somebody else the other day. I think it was probably in a get together we had recently, and it was like, you know, complaining about me, you know, in a you know, kind of comical fact, in a comical way, is that, you know, my job, in order to allow you guys to execute, you know, we've got to be thinking about the vision. What is happening next? Is it possible? Is it pragmatic? Is it plausible? You know, can we articulate what we're trying to do? Creating these problems and then almost just chucking them over my shoulder. And Mark does that constantly. He's like, you know, it's another thing that Joel's walked in the office and just gone, I need to do this, and go and execute it, you know. And we're really fortunate as a team that we've got yourself, you know, and Mark's teams to be able to go and take those things of vision and go and turn them into a reality, right? You know, but you've got to have the vision.
We've started calling them the hand grenades of vision, because of the way that you kind of walk around the office just throwing these hand grenades of challenges and obstacles behind you.
But you've got to have that, right? You've got to, like, Elon Musk, and I know it's just stratospheric kind of success levels, and it's just I can't associate with what he's achieved, because it's just so big. So,
I hope there's a pun intended there.
yeah, but, you know, but there's you know, for me it's about, you know, you've got to have a team of people, hire the best people around you, surround yourself with the best people you get along with, people that challenge you and can challenge you, and create a culture where people can challenge, you know. And but also, you know, I've got to think of the vision, you know, and we've got ideas in our heads now. We've been talking about technology and ideas and options where people even in my family challenge me, you know, that's not possible. How do you do that? What if that would happen? What if that would happen? And, oh no, I don't think that, you know. And people will challenge you, But if you can really take that vision and you're confident enough in yourself and your team's ability to turn it into reality, and then you've got the people to go and turn it into reality, that's the really important thing. If I didn't have you, Mark, Chris, and the team here, then iCoTech wouldn't be here. So that, yeah, it's a boring answer because I'm basically saying both, but vision comes first, then the ability to execute. That's how you kind of operate. That's how I operate anyway.
Amazing. Cool. Yeah. Thank you ever so much.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for chatting.
If people like this kind of stuff, I guess we should ask them to like, follow, and subscribe, isn't it? That's the kind of thing we do on YouTube now, isn't it? Do you reckon?
I think that's the done thing.
That's it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everybody. If you want to follow the iCoTech journey, and I guess that's why we're doing this, right? Is to kind of show the journey,
yes,
and share it with people.
I think it's about bringing people along as well. If anybody is kind of in a similar situation, or further along or further behind, we'd really love to, I guess, build a bit more of a community that can kind of come on that journey with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully we can work together.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All right. Cheers, Rob. Thanks for your time, mate.
Awesome. Cheers, Joel. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.